You're not broken. You're burned out. And no, this video isn't about another quick productivity hack. It's about rediscovering what matters, because the exhaustion you feel, it's not just physical, it's deeper. You drag yourself out of bed. By 10 a.m., your brain is buzzing. By noon, you've already checked your phone 50 times. By evening, you've lost track of why you started in the first place. You've tried everything: cold showers, Pomodoro sprints, journals with bullet points, motivational morning playlists. But nada, because none of those fix why you're running on empty. Here's the real truth. Burnout isn't about how hard you're working. It's about how disconnected you've become from your mind, your purpose, your peace. Today, we're borrowing from a mindset forged in crisis, by philosophers and emperors, by people who faced real pressure, real grief, real responsibility, and still found clarity when everything tried to break them. That mindset is called Stoicism, not some airy spiritual trick, but a mental reset that teaches you how to stand calm in chaos, how to feel deeply without drowning, how to live instead of just reacting. If you're stuck, exhausted, wondering what's next, pause, because for the next few minutes, this ancient wisdom might just be the reset you've been waiting for. Because you're not broken. You're being reborn. Let's begin this journey together. Chapter 1. What burnout really is. Burnout isn't just about being tired. It's not fixed with a power nap, a day off, or a double espresso. It's something heavier, something deeper. It's the slow erosion of your inner fire. It's when rest no longer feels restful, when weekends become recovery missions, not sources of joy, when your mornings blur into nights and everything in between feels pointless. You wake up already defeated. You check your phone before you even stretch. Another notification, another obligation, another day of going through the motions. You hit every deadline. You show up. You smile. You perform. But inside, something's unraveling. Burnout doesn't scream. It whispers. What's the point? When does this get better? Why do I feel nothing anymore? You start missing messages from friends. You stop calling family. Not because you don't care, but because even caring feels like another task on the list. And no one notices, because on the outside, you're functioning, but inside, you're folding. There was a time you felt alive, inspired by the world, curious about what tomorrow could bring. But burnout drains that color from your days, not all at once, but bit by bit, until your only real goal is to make it to bedtime. And the worst part, you think it's your fault, that you're weak, that you're lazy, that you should be tougher. But that's a lie. You're not broken. You're running a human soul on an inhuman schedule. And your exhaustion? It's not failure. It's a flare, a quiet SOS from your mind, your body, your spirit, begging for you to pause, to reset, to breathe. And that's why we're here. Because burnout isn't a dead end. It's a turning point. And with the help of Stoic wisdom, you'll learn how to rebuild from the inside out. Chapter 2. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who faced burnout. Before self-help books, before therapists, before YouTube videos like this one, there was a man, an emperor, fighting not just armies, but the weight of existence itself. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He wasn't just a philosopher. He was the most powerful man in the world during his time. He commanded legions. He ruled over millions. He shaped the fate of an empire stretching across continents. And yet, every night, After the battles, the politics, the chaos, he would sit alone, by candlelight, and write to himself, not to the Senate, not to history books, just to himself. What he wrote would one day become one of the greatest works of Stoic philosophy, Meditations, but to him, it wasn't a book. It was therapy, a lifeline, a way to survive his own burnout. Marcus faced constant crisis while ruling Rome. He endured a devastating pandemic that killed millions, endless wars at the northern borders, plots against his life, the death of 8 of his own children, political betrayal, personal illness, and the crushing pressure of leadership. Sound familiar? Because although the times have changed, the pressure hasn't. We may not be emperors, but we carry invisible empires on our backs. Expectations from work, family, society, and most of all, ourselves. In one of his entries, Marcus wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." This wasn't motivational fluff. This was a man trying to survive. He knew burnout. He felt despair. He battled fatigue, grief, and overwhelming responsibility, just like many of us do today. But he didn't numb it. He didn't avoid it. He faced it with paper, with breath, with perspective, the same way Marcus wrote in the stillness of Rome's darkness. You can write in yours. His method wasn't complex. He asked himself, what's in my control today? What virtues can I practice right now? Patience, humility, resilience. What will matter 5 years from now? And what won't? In a world filled with ambition, Marcus constantly reminded himself, soon you'll be ashes or bones, a name or not even a name. This wasn't meant to depress. It was meant to liberate. Because when you realize how fleeting life is, you stop wasting energy on things that drain you. You stop chasing every opinion. You stop drowning in tasks that don't matter. You focus. You simplify. You breathe again. Burnout often comes from living outside your own values for too long. Trying to please everyone. Trying to succeed at everything. Trying to be someone you're not. But Marcus didn't wear a mask. He didn't perform strength. He practiced it, quietly, humbly, imperfectly, just like you can. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time life feels too loud, too fast, too much, remember this. A Roman emperor once felt the same way, and he wrote through it. He sat with the storm. He stared into the fire. And he chose to keep going, not with more force, but with more clarity. That's what Stoicism gives us. A reset, not a retreat. A quiet reminder that we can endure hardship, not because we're unbreakable, but because we know what really matters. And sometimes, that's all we need. Chapter 3, The Modern Burnout Trap. We like to think we've evolved, that we've escaped the hardships of the ancient world. No swords, no invaders, no lions in colosseums. But in truth, we've only changed the battlefield. Today's wars aren't fought in armor. They're fought with deadlines, emails, metrics, and noise. You don't fear wild animals. You fear unread Slack messages. You don't fight for your life. You fight to keep up, to stay relevant, to not fall behind. And that pressure, though invisible, crushes you. Just the same, we live in a time of constant connection, but we're more disconnected than ever. You're hit with hundreds of messages a day. You absorb stress from news, social media, group chats, comparison. Your nervous system never gets a break. Even when you sit still, your mind spins, because silence now feels uncomfortable, as if you've forgotten how to simply exist without performing. You're not just tired from working. You're tired from pretending to have it all together, pretending to always be productive, pretending not to care what others think. The Stoics saw this coming centuries ago. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Seneca, we burn out because we spend our energy chasing things that don't feed the soul. Applause, approval, achievement for the sake of image, not purpose. Burnout doesn't mean you're doing too much. It often means you're doing too little of what matters. Too little presence, too little stillness, too little alignment with who you really are. The modern burnout trap is this: you're always reacting, never reflecting, always running, never arriving. But the Stoics taught us a different way, a quieter way, a focused way, a way back to yourself. And that way begins when you stop asking, "What's next?" and start asking, "What matters now?" Chapter 4: From Control to Clarity. Burnout often doesn't come from working too hard. It comes from trying to control everything and failing. You try to control your schedule, your mood, your performance, your relationships. You try to control what people think of you, how fast your career moves, how your life should be by now. And slowly, all that pressure turns inward until even the smallest change feels like collapse. It's like trying to hold back a tidal wave with your bare hands. And the moment you lose grip of even one thing, you feel like a failure. But here's what the Stoics taught: what most of us forget in the chaos of modern life. Some things are in our control and others are not. Epictetus, this isn't just philosophy, it's freedom. Think about it. You can't control what your boss thinks. You can't control whether a video goes viral. You can't control the market, the weather, or your past. But you can control your breath. You can control how you speak to yourself. You can control what you focus on right now, in this exact moment. That shift from control to clarity is where healing begins. When you live in clarity, you stop wasting energy on things you can't influence. And suddenly, life feels lighter. You stop reacting to every notification. You stop chasing people's approval. You start asking, "What's actually mine to carry today?" That question alone is a mental reset. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Most people hear that and nod. Few people actually apply it, because applying it means letting go of arguments you can't win, releasing outcomes you can't control, focusing your energy on what you can do, calmly, quietly, consistently. That's Stoic clarity. And it's the antidote to burnout. Burnout often feels like drowning. But the truth is, you're not underwater. You're just tangled in a net of false responsibility. When you cut the cord between your peace and the things you can't control, you create space. You breathe deeper. You move slower, but with more power. Try this every morning for a week. Ask yourself, what's in my control today? What can I let go of? What matters most right now? You'll be shocked how quickly the chaos loses its grip. Because clarity isn't a feeling, it's a practice. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to focus on what's yours. Let go of the noise. Come back to center. That's where clarity lives, and where burnout begins to dissolve. Chapter 5: From Noise to Stillness. Have you ever noticed that silence feels uncomfortable? That the moment there's a pause, you reach for your phone? That when your mind slows down, something inside resists? That's not random. That's conditioning. We've been trained to fear stillness, because stillness is the moment when the noise fades and your truth starts speaking. In today's world, you're bombarded constantly. Push notifications, trending topics, infinite scrolling, 24/7 content. Even your rest is noisy. Background music, videos playing while you eat, multitasking while relaxing. Your nervous system is in survival mode all day, even when you're relaxing. This isn't rest. This is distraction dressed up as recovery. And over time, the result is predictable: mental burnout, emotional numbness, disconnection. The Stoics knew something we've forgotten. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. Marcus Aurelius, they believed in cultivating stillness not just as a luxury, but as a discipline. Stillness isn't doing nothing. It's doing the most important thing: returning to yourself. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, surrounded by war, politics, death, and disease. He carved out time for stillness, for thought, for silence. If a man leading an empire could prioritize inner peace, what excuse do we really have? Stillness doesn't have to be grand. It can look like sitting in silence for 5 minutes in the morning, taking a walk without music, drinking tea with no screen in front of you, watching the rain fall without needing to capture the moment. These tiny acts of stillness reset the nervous system. They bring you home to your body. They create space for clarity, creativity, and calm. And yet, stillness is the one thing we constantly avoid. Here's the truth. We avoid stillness because it reveals what we've been trying to outrun: that we're not happy, that we feel disconnected, that we don't know what we really want anymore. Stillness forces confrontation, but that confrontation is healing, because once you face what's been ignored, you can begin to change it. That's what stillness gives you. Not answers, but space. Not fixes, but presence. And presence is what heals burnout. In stillness, you remember, you are not your job. You are not your notifications. You are not your productivity. You're a human being, breathing, feeling, existing, and that's enough. The world will always be noisy, but your mind doesn't have to be. You don't have to react to everything. You don't have to know what's next. You don't have to chase every headline, every thought, every trend. You can choose stillness, even for 2 minutes, even for one. Deep breath. Try this every morning before you check your phone. Sit, breathe, ask yourself, where can I make space today? What would happen if I just paused? And then do it. Even if it feels awkward, even if your mind resists, especially then. Stillness is not weakness. It's not laziness. It's not wasting time. It's where wisdom lives. It's where burnout begins to dissolve. It's where you return to yourself. So, in a world that never stops shouting, choose silence. That's what the Stoics did. And it's what you can do, starting today. Chapter 6. From Expectation to Acceptance. You thought you'd be further by now, more successful, more confident, more in control, maybe with a different job, a different city, a different life. But here you are, tired, frustrated, quietly disappointed, not because life is terrible, but because it isn't what you expected. And that gap between what is and what you thought should be, that's where burnout thrives. We all build stories in our minds. Stories about how things were supposed to go. By 25, I'll have this. By 30, I'll feel like that. By now, I should have figured it out. But life doesn't care about your script. It moves in curves, not straight lines. And every time reality doesn't match the fantasy, we suffer. We resist. We fight until we break down. Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Seek instead for them to happen as they do. And you will be peaceful. Epictetus. That is the Stoic way. The path of acceptance. not as defeat, but as freedom. Because here's what the Stoics knew: suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from your expectations of how life was supposed to be. Acceptance is not about giving up. It's not apathy. It's not saying, this is fine, when it's clearly not. Acceptance is saying, this is what is, and now I get to choose how I meet it. You can't control when you get the job, when you meet the right person, when your work finally feels meaningful, but you can control how you show up right now. You can drop the weight of expectations and meet life as it comes. When you let go of what should be, you make space for what actually is, and often, what's here right now is enough. Not perfect, not flashy, but enough. Because peace isn't found in arriving at your ideal future. Peace is found in fully accepting your current moment. That's the Stoic reset. You don't have to abandon ambition, but you must detach your peace from the outcome. Keep growing, keep striving, but let go of the demand that life unfold on your timeline. Replace, why isn't it happening yet, with what can I do with where I am? Try this. Each evening, ask yourself, where did I resist life today? Where did I expect something and feel angry it didn't happen? What could I accept instead? You'll notice the moment you stop clinging to expectations, your energy returns, your mind softens. Burnout loses its grip because most of our exhaustion isn't from doing too much, it's from fighting reality. So here's the Stoic truth. You don't need a new life to find peace. You just need a new way of seeing the one you already have. Let go, accept, breathe, because from acceptance comes strength. Chapter 7. From Outcome to Action. You work hard. You give your best, but deep down, you're measuring yourself by something you can't fully control. The outcome, you refresh the page, you check the results, you compare, and when the numbers don't move, your mood crashes. That's the trap. Modern life tells us we are only as valuable as our results, our productivity, our performance, our popularity. But the Stoics had a different view, a freeing one. Do not concern yourself with the outcomes. Focus only on the quality of your effort. Epictetus, burnout often comes not from working too hard, but from tying your worth to results you can't fully control. We obsess over, will it go viral? Will they like me? Will I get promoted? Will I succeed? But none of that is guaranteed, and none of it defines you. What defines you is how you show up. The Stoic mindset is this: detach from the outcome, fall in love with the process, because the process is where your power lives. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He faced war, betrayal, and political chaos, and yet, in meditations, he constantly reminded himself, you have been assigned your task. Do it with discipline. Let others deal with judgment and results. His focus wasn't legacy. It was responsibility, not applause, alignment. He didn't ask, how will history remember me? He asked, did I live today with integrity? That's a question worth asking. When you act from a place of purpose, not pressure, you stop needing validation, you stop rushing outcomes, you become consistent, and consistency beats intensity every time. Here's the practice. Each night, reflect on this. Did I act with courage, honesty, or patience? Did I give my best, even if no one noticed? Did I control what I could and release what I couldn't? That's success. That's Stoic victory. You are not the outcome. You are the action. You are the one who shows up, especially when it's hard. Especially when no one claps. The Stoics didn't aim for perfection. They aimed for presence, for discipline, for daily effort that reflects their values, not their fears. So today, ask yourself, am I obsessing over results? Or am I honoring the process? Because outcomes come and go, but your actions shape your character. Detach from the noise. Reclaim your focus. And remember, success is not up to you, but doing your duty, that always is. That's where burnout fades and strength returns. Chapter 8: Daily Stoic Habits to Rewire a Burned Out Mind. Burnout doesn't just happen from one bad week. It happens from habitual disconnection, from waking up reactive, from running through your day without checking in with your mind, from constantly consuming and rarely reflecting. The good news? You don't need a full lifestyle makeover to change this. You need a few grounded habits, repeated with intention, habits inspired by Stoic wisdom, habits that anchor you when life feels like too much. Let's begin. Habit 1: Morning stillness. Own your first 5 minutes. Your mornings set the tone for your day. And most people start theirs by outsourcing their mood, checking messages, social media, news. Instead, do this. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself one question: what is within my control today? This moment grounds you in agency. It tells your brain, I lead the day. The day doesn't lead me. That's how Stoics start, with awareness. Habit 2: Evening reflection. What did I practice today? At the end of the day, the Stoics didn't just collapse into bed. They reflected. Epictetus advised this. Examine yourself. Where did I do well? Where did I fall short? What can I do better? This isn't about guilt. It's about growth. Ask yourself, did I act with patience? Did I react with ego? Did I show up how I wanted to? You don't need pages of journaling. Sometimes one honest sentence is enough. Habit 3: Voluntary discomfort. Train the mind by challenging the body. Seneca believed in practicing discomfort, not because pain is noble, but because it builds resilience. Take a cold shower. Skip your favorite snack once a week. Go a day without complaining. Wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual. Why? Because when you choose discomfort in small things, you become stronger for the big things. You teach your mind, I can do hard things without fear. Habit 4: Read one line of Stoic wisdom daily. You don't need to read an entire philosophy book every day, but one line, one idea, can shape your thinking for the next 24 hours. Keep a copy of Meditations, Letters from a Stoic, or Epictetus discourses nearby. Each morning, ask, how can I live this idea today? Philosophy isn't something you study. It's something you live. Habit 5: Daily digital boundary. Create before you consume. Burnout is fueled by passive consumption, scrolling before thinking, absorbing noise before engaging with your own thoughts. Change the order. Start each day with creation. Write, stretch, reflect, make something, even for 10 minutes. Then, if you need to, plug in. You'll feel the difference almost immediately. Less anxious, more centered. These habits aren't about perfection. They're about consistency. A 5-minute shift in the morning can echo through your entire day, and when done daily, these practices rewire your identity. They remind you, you are not just surviving. You are shaping who you become. That's what the Stoics did, not through hacks, but through daily discipline. And you can too, starting tomorrow morning. Chapter 9: Real Talk. Burnout is a signal. Let's pause. Let's be honest. Burnout is real, and it's more than just tiredness or overwork. It's your mind, your body, your soul, sending a message, a signal, not to quit, not to collapse, but to listen, to pause and ask, what is no longer serving me? What have I been ignoring? When did I stop feeling like me? Burnout doesn't arrive overnight. It builds through every yes you didn't mean, every late night you didn't want, every smile you faked just to get through the day. You kept going because that's what strong people do, right? But here's a Stoic truth. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. And how can you master yourself? If you never stop long enough to hear your own thoughts, burnout is not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign you've been strong for too long. Without rest, without reflection, without realignment. And sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is stop. Not forever, just long enough to reset. The Stoics faced chaos, war, and grief, but they made time to return to themselves, not through escape, but through presence. Marcus didn't run away from pressure. He ran toward clarity. He asked, "What is in my control? What kind of person do I want to be today?" You can ask the same. Burnout doesn't mean the end. It means it's time to turn inward, to rewrite the story you've been telling yourself, to stop living by default and start living by design. Let burnout be your teacher. Let it point you back to what matters, back to peace, back to presence, back to you. Ending. A Stoic reset starts now. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is ready. Ready to shift, ready to stop living in reaction and start living with intention. Burnout doesn't mean you're failing. It means something needs to change, and that change starts with your mindset. The Stoics didn't promise an easy life. They didn't teach us how to escape difficulty. They taught us how to move through it, with courage, with clarity, with grace. You've learned how to let go of what you can't control, anchor yourself in the present moment, accept life as it is, not as you wish it were, detach from outcomes and fall in love with the process, create space for stillness, reflection, and peace. And most of all, you've remembered who you are beneath the pressure. Not a machine, not a number, not someone to be constantly optimized. You are human, capable of deep thought, deep feeling, and deep resilience. You don't need to do it all. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You just need to take the next right step, rooted in what you can control, aligned with who you want to become. That's Stoicism. And that's your new operating system. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're right on time. Take a breath. Begin again. The reset starts now.